Thank you for joining me once again to talk all things vertical drama. I have found yet another very interesting, very talented person to talk to, who is Justin. So I'm going to let Justin introduce himself to you, and then we will go from there.
Hi, my name is Justin. My name is Justin Vancho. Online, you've probably seen me as Justice or Justice Fan. I do everything. I act, stunts, voice acting, model sometimes, very rarely, even though I just did all of last week. And I used to color comic books. That's another random thing that I do. And yeah, that's me.
Hang on, you used to colour comic books?
Yeah. So someone else would draw them. Someone else would like make them black and white, and then I would go in Photoshop and put all the pretty colors and make it
that
pop.
Sounds really fun.
It is. It's really cool. It's one thing I still do for fun sometimes, but it's very time consuming.
Okay, right, sorry, we've got totally distracted now because that are now far more interesting than any vertical drama stuff. But right, we'll get back on track. Okay, so where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Two different things. I was born in New York City. So was my dad. And then my mom was born in California. So she was like, I'm not raising my kid in New York. So I moved to California and grew up in San Diego, which is, for those of you not in the US, it's a 2.5, 3 hours south of LA. So we come up to LA a lot as a kid. Yeah.
Is it right? San Diego is a big naval port. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. It's a huge Navy, Marines, Air Force is a little bit down there, but mostly, yeah, Marines and Air Force, or Marines and Navy.
Okay, so when you were young,
Mm-hmm.
was it always clear that you were going to be acting, or were there other things that could have taken your time?
The
what
only
were
other
you
thing,
spending your childhood doing? What were your passions?
My two passions as a kid were basically, well, I had like three passions. One was art, which led to comic books. Another one was martial arts because my dad was a black belt, so he taught me when I was little. So I wanted to own my own martial arts school, and that kind of never happened. And then when I was like between 4 and 6, can't remember when exactly, but I wanted to be an actor. And so my dad's a musician too, so one of his closest friends' wives was an acting coach, so he threw me into acting class when I was like 6.
Wow.
That was pretty much my goal since then.
And have you stuck with it ever since then with the acting?
I did, and then I stopped. So I had my first agent when I was like 11, and then my mom was like, you got to focus on high school, because she's very analytical brain. My dad's very artistic brain. So she's like, you have to focus on school. So I left acting, and then senior year I went back to acting, and then my mom again was like, you have to go to college, and then I left acting again to go to college, and then was in college for way too long and not happy. So I went back to acting, but I lost a lot of the confidence I had as a kid. So I went into stunts for a while. Yeah, it's been an on and off, on and off, on and off.
So when you had your agent when you were 11, did you have any paid jobs as a child actor? Were you working?
I had one big paid job, which was like an educational video about AIDS that went out to like all the schools, I don't know, nationally or like locally. But my agent was not a scam because she was a legit agent, but she got ran out of LA. So that's why she was in San Diego. And I think she stole my paycheck because I never got paid for it. And she told me it was like a free job. And I was like, well, it's practice. And then like a year later, I ran into some of the kids that were on that job and they were like, that was great. We got paid so much money. And I was like, I didn't get paid anything.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I can see if that happens that your mum's a bit like, school. School.
Yeah.
This is not the best thing. So when you went back again as a senior, was that kind of with school productions? Do you remember?
No, I went back and I had like a legit like agent. So I was back on like driving up to LA every week to do auditions from San Diego, which as an adult, I don't know how my parents did that. That's a 2-hour drive each way. So it's like 4 hours out of their weekend or like weekdays just to take me to auditions. And they did it, and I'm grateful. It was amazing. As an adult, I'm like, I would never do that. That's so much traffic, so much exhaustion. But I was auditioning for like TV shows and commercials and things like that back then. Never booked anything. I got really close to being on a Canadian high school drama. That would have been really cool, but my mom was like, no, you're not going to go to fly off to Canada and be on some show. You're going to go to college and get a degree.
And do you remember what it was when you were a kid, and then also when it kind of acting came back to you? What was it that you loved about it? What was, I guess, what gave you the buzz?
It's my so the funny thing is, the very first time I wanted to be an actor, I was watching Star Wars, I think, and I told my dad I wanted to be a Jedi, and I was like, I want to be a Jedi, I want to have a lightsaber, and he was like, well, then be an actor, because that's the only way you're going to be able to do that. So the playing in a different world is very like appealing to me, being somebody else. As a kid, it was more like living in a fantasy world kind of thing. Like I wanted to be basically like in the Lord of the Rings or something that's like fantastical and very different than reality. So that when you see it, it's cool. My first play, I was Robin Hood, like that. I was the lead in Robin Hood. And so that was really cool because it was playing Robin Hood and like being a not quite fairy tale, but it's like larger than life kind of person. And I'm
They
very
make you wear tights, or did you get a better costume?
I wore tights. Yeah.
Oh,
I had a nice little like skirt that I wore with a little rope belt, and then had the tights and the hat and the long boots. It was fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent here because obviously I think of Robin Hood and then I think of Carrie Tools and Men in Tights. What's the best version on film of Robin Hood?
It's between Carrie Elways and there was this old TV show for Robin Hood. It was a BBC show, I think. It was either BBC or it was Australian. I can't remember, but it wasn't American. And that version I liked a lot, but I have no idea who the actor was because it was a random TV show I watched.
One?
Yeah.
Yes,
he
Jonah
was
Armstrong.
Little John or something.
Yeah. Yes.
Or not Little John. He was the bad guy.
Yes. Yes.
The sheriff.
I enjoyed that one. It was very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good taste. Good answer.
Thank you.
So the next question is, okay, so obviously you've sort of, you and acting, this is me doing you going away.
Yeah. It's like a double helix. I can't get away from it. It just always comes back.
And there's a very good, then that's in your DNA. You see what we did there? We've been very clever and scientific. So you said that then as an adult, stunts appeal to you. So for a layperson, what happens when you go, I want to do stunts? Like how does that happen? What do you do?
If you say that, not much. Pretty much like stunts more than any other aspect of entertainment, I feel like, is who you know. Like you can train all you want, but if you don't know stunt coordinators or you don't know other stunt people, it's really hard to get into it. It's kind of similar in like mocap for video games and movies. So I started training with a group of guys because I've done martial arts all my life, and there was a connection of a friend who was a world champion wushu, which is kung fu. And I was doing wushu at the time. So I would drive up from San Diego to LA twice a week to train with them for like 3 hours. And they were kind of a stunt crew. They were like a YouTube stunt crew. So I would train with them, and then we started doing our own short film thing, action shorts. And then through there, I kind of like met other stunt people, and they're like, oh, be in this project and be in this project. And that's kind of how I fell into it. And then not long after that, I realized I was not quite cut out for stunts. I love action stunts. I love fighting on screen, but I don't like falling and wrecking. Like we call it wrecks. Like when someone gets hit by a car, or when you fall onto a table, or you get thrown off of a balcony or whatever, and you hit the ground, and it hurts a lot. So I was like, I'm gonna go back to acting because I'll do the fights. I'll get a stunt double to do all the painful stuff because you might as well get paid too. So.
See, do you know what? I really admire that. That's like, let's just be really honest. It just hurts, and I don't want to do
it. It was funny because I was older. I was on the older end of the group, and then we had kids that were like 18, 19, 20, and they like broke their leg, and they're like, haha, I broke my leg again. And I'm like, I can't break my leg. I got to pay rent. So I'm like,
yeah, it's that divide, isn't it? When you suddenly got rent to make. I have to ask with that, just obviously you went in with martial arts. Is there any sort of particular of the martial arts that particularly is an advantage in stunts, or is it just any sort of training is useful?
It kind of circles, I guess, is the right word. Like it'll be like whatever's popular. So like right now, John Wick made Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and grappling really popular because a lot of his fights is like he'll shoot people and then he'll grab them and flip them and wrestle with them. And then when Hong Kong movies are really popular, Wushu Kung Fu is really good. Taekwondo, surprisingly, I think is a very good foundation because even when you do like Kung Fu stuff, a lot of the kicks that they do for choreography comes from Taekwondo because they have the most like kick things. And then boxing, so you know how to throw a punch properly and you know how to like dodge and weave. But also it's interesting because real martial arts don't really work on film. So like if I work with a person who's like a professional boxer, but they've never done screen fighting, you always have to be careful because they're going to try to hit you for real because they don't know how to like fake it to make it look good on camera. And the way you fight for real is like you don't want to telegraph anything. You want it to be direct and quick so that the person can't block you. But on camera, you need everyone to see what you're doing because you need it to be a visual art form and like look pretty and things like that. So it's kind of interesting. But if you learn all Taekwondo, Kung Fu, boxing, and grappling, those are like the four main ones, I guess, then you're set.
And do you have any dance background at all as well? Because I've spoken to one or two stunt coordinators who said actually dance is really good for that because they know they'll be able to follow the choreography even if they haven't quite got the moves.
Yeah, dancing is I don't have any. I suck at dancing, but everyone says I can dance. Okay, I don't believe it because I've seen myself. But dance translate the easiest. Like I've worked with a lot of stunt people, and like if someone has a dance background but they have no fight background, they're usually okay visually on stunts. Like they look like they know what they're doing because they know how to move their body and they know how to keep a tempo. One of the things in stunts is like you have a beat that you try to go to. So it's like you don't just throw 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so it's you kind of go like pop, 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 pop. So dance works really well for that. Gymnasts are pretty good, but one thing that gymnasts, they're gonna get mad at me for this, but one thing that gymnasts lack a lot of times is throwing the power in the right place at the right time until they get used to it. But they're really flexible, so then that works really well for stunts too. So gymnasts and dancers usually have the best like integration out of anybody who's never done anything.
So I guess that makes sense. Everyone's bringing different strengths, but then there's also things they have to relearn for doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's the same when I went to Wushu. Like I was a black belt in Taekwondo, but the hip mobility in Wushu is very different. So like when I was trying to do Kung Fu style kicks, they always looked like Taekwondo kicks. And then my coach would just get pissed off at me and he would always yell at me. And he's like, "What are you doing? This isn't Taekwondo. Do it right." And I'm like, "I can't. My body won't." But I eventually learned it. It's just you have to reprogram your brain.
So I want to kind of leap now of like, okay, you're working in stunts, you're acting. When do vertical dramas enter your life?
So I think it was last 2024 June, around there, somewhere around there. Ashley Belote, that you know, was in the same acting class with me, and she was one of the best people in the class, and she made me better because we practiced a lot together. And then she started working on verticals, and then she was like, "You need to do these. You need to do these." And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe." And then I was kind of interested because I've watched a couple, and I was like, "Okay, I can see what this is." And then I just randomly got a background job on one vertical because I was like, let me see how production is before I like try to be a lead or a supporting or even a day player. And I worked a lot on YouTube back in the day. And so when I worked on my first vertical, when I walked in, I was like, oh, this is just YouTube shooting, but with people that know what they're doing and better equipment. Like, so like the crafty and the structure and everyone kind of like rushing in, multiple people like kind of filling in for other people is a very YouTube thing. When you have a small production, it's like, we got to get it done, just do it. But that production was, I won't say bad, but it was awkward. We had 5 extras, I think, on the first day. It was a 3-day shoot, and Second day, 3 of the extras didn't show up because they didn't like it. And on the last day, it was just me and this one other girl who like stayed for the whole thing. So we were in every single shot, every single day for 12 hours for 3 days. And I was like, doesn't really make sense because there's only the two of us and we're in the background of every single camera angle. And I'm like, we're just teleporting everywhere in this thing. And I also had to do like some stunt coordinating on that one, but didn't get credit for it. Like they were going to do a stunt. And I was like, hey, you can't make this girl in like 4-inch high heels get slapped and fall on her back. So I was like, I'm going to take care of you and make sure you're not going to get hurt. So that was a weird one. And then my very next one was with Soma. Was like a week later. And then that was a day player, I think. So it was me, Kelsey, Soma, I forget who else was in it. But that one, because Soma's Soma and she's great. And then it was fun. That was a good one. And then I was like, okay, so it can go the gambit. It can be like very.
Do you remember the name of which one that was?
I think I have it written down. Let me check. Project Surrogate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about her as being a brilliant director and someone they love working with. So
yeah, Soma was amazing. Like I've had friends work with her a couple years ago on short films.
Yeah.
So I already knew who she was, and we've met at like events. So when I booked it, I was like, "Oh, hey, it's you. I wasn't expecting you to be a director on this." And then yeah, she was cool. She everyone was acting to like TV or TV movie, and then she had to be like, "Remember, vertical, like the stakes are higher. This like the drama's higher, and like so it was interesting."
What's the main note that everyone gets with the acting then to like make it more vertical? What do people need to do?
It's it varies depending on the person. Like some people are very like I think if you come from theater, it helps a lot because you have to be more theatrical in theater and like bigger so that people 400 feet away from you can see you and like get the emotion. And TV and film tells you to be very subtle and very like minute with all your actions. So one of mine is like be bigger, be louder, because I'm very quiet in general as it is, and then I'm very subtle, and then especially with my acting, it's very like subtle. So mine is always like be bigger, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot it's vertical, like up it a little bit, like be a little more dramatic.
So I have to ask, 'cause I think we talked about it on Instagram. I know you've done a few werewolf ones.
Yeah, that first one, the one that was 3 days on, that was a werewolf one.
And it's just like, so presumably when you walk on and you get that script, is anyone given any sort of explanation? Are you like, okay, we're just going with this?
I think for the leads, you probably do because you have a table read, so you can like be like, "What does this mean?" at the table read.
Yeah.
But as a day player or even the supporting, you get nothing. So I remember I had a audition one time, and there's a term in in werewolf ones called, I think it's a taker. I think that's what it is. I haven't done a audition for like the lower characters in a while, but I think there's a character called a taker, which is a female werewolf who can have sex with multiple men because usually they're supposed to be like tied with someone forever. And so they call them takers. And the first time I had an audition that had taker in there, I was like, this is a typo. Like they're a thief because it's what it sounded like. It was like, she's a taker, she's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, so it's a thief. And then I did the audition and I like read it all and I was like, okay. Then I had to Google. I was like, what does a taker mean in Omegaverse werewolf things? And it was like, oh, blah. And it explained it to me. And I was like, oh, that's a weird thing to say. Like it doesn't make sense and it doesn't flow very well, but it kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But I don't think even the directors know sometimes because they just get the scripts and they're like, that's what it says. I don't know. Just do it. But it's very, very awkward sometimes when you're like, what is all this Luna, Beta, Alpha? Like, which one's the top? I mean, you obviously know an Alpha's the top and a Beta, but then there's like the Omegas, and you're like, Omega's better than Alphas? Are they lower? And then, yeah, there's a lot of terms that you're just like, this isn't normal conversation.
What do you reckon is the appeal? Because obviously, when you do first watch them, you're like, okay, wow, this is a really different depiction of werewolves, say, to like, you know, American Werewolf in London or Teen Wolf or something like that. Or even like Twilight, I would say. I was just trying to think of other well-known werewolf things on screen. What do you reckon is the appeal? Because I know you're a thinker. So have you worked out what you think it is about the
I
werewolf
think
verticals?
there's a few things. There's a kink factor, I think, of like I know a lot of people like dominant
Mm,
partners. Like decide for me where we're gonna go eat. Decide for me, like just
mm,
handle everything. And so the werewolf ones I feel have a lot more of the domination aspect for like the
mm,
alpha, omega, beta.
yeah.
So that aspect is appealing to a certain type of people.
Mm,
And then also I think the fantasy aspect of like, oh, this guy is willing to do, or this woman is willing to do these things for me that is like extreme. Like they're willing to get shot, or they're willing to like fight their primal urges to protect me. And it's a very like fantastical form of devotion and love that you wouldn't really get with a normal human or a person in a regular storyline. And I think
mm,
that's a big appeal to it. I think sometimes it goes a little too far. And those are probably the ones that don't do very well,
mm,
because they're even the viewers are like, I don't know about that. It's a little
yeah.
creepy. Um, but I think that's a huge aspect of it. It's the same with vampires too. I think is like this eternal being that could have anyone, chooses me and is willing to fight their urges and their bad side so that they can protect me and all that stuff. And I think that's appealing to a lot of people. I don't know if it's good that it's appealing to a lot of people, but it's appealing to a lot of people.
Because I think there's also an appeal of the whole fated mate thing.
Yep, yep. There's
It's
definitely
like,
that too.
I think in
Like
various different
soulmates.
literature forms, just the fact that, oh, I don't need to work it out. Someone will just tell me.
Yeah, that too.
And obviously they always fight it in these stories, but actually there's like, that would
Yeah.
be really helpful that just someone else has decided and it's meant to
Yep.
be. So,
Yeah. I like the ones where I've worked on a couple where the female lead at the end of it either like rejects everything and like is her own. She's like, no, I'm not gonna like let fate decide for me. I'm gonna choose on my own. Or like she just walks away and she's like, I don't need anybody, and then I'm good. And those ones, I guess that appeals to me because I'm more of the like, yeah, be strong on your own. You don't need someone to like
I love
handle
that.
you and control you.
Yeah.
But that could be because my mom was like, hey, stop doing acting and go to college. And so I'm like, be free, do your own thing. So it's just internal. I don't know.
No, they've been really good. The kind of, I think there's been a little run of sort of alpha queen ones recently. And
Yeah, yeah,
they're really good. I think we all know we need like slightly more, what's the word, proactive, shall we say,
yeah.
female leads for a start.
Yep.
Um, okay, so I'm just going to ask you about various vertical genres that we know we have a
Okay.
lot of.
Yeah.
I imagine you've done the odd billionaire vertical.
Yep. Yep. Quite a few. I
Um,
think my last one was.
so what's kind of often the role? Because I'm sure I've seen you as press in them before.
Yeah.
Press.
Couple
I've seen
times.
your auctions. What
Yep.
are kind of how is the vibe different on set, and how do they work? Any favorite memories?
It depends on the vertical. The last two I did were very different, but both of them were the billionaire sort of storyline. One was well, I guess yeah, one was I can't remember they changed the name from when I
Don't worry
worked on
about
it to when it
names.
came out, and I'm always like whatever, but it was the Spoiled by the Three Billionaires or whatever. So um Faith is running around being chased by three billionaires, and then she's hated by her family. And then that one is very interesting because it was very comical and like because the three billionaires are all kind of dumb. They're just like, I love you. And then the three of them just run in every time together and they're like, we all love you. It's like, kind of like Three Stooges, but with
Yeah.
billionaires. And that one was kind of fun because it was like extravagant ballrooms, galas, birthday parties, things like that, airfield, like expensive cars. But then they're all kind of being like goofy together because they're like, no, I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to be better than you. And they're kind of like, I think they're all supposed to be rivals, but they all kind of played it like they were friends. So that was kind of fun. And then I was just the assistant to the main billionaire in that one. And then I did another one where it was like the two people are supposed to get married, they run away, and then they end up falling in love with each other, thinking that they're different people. So they're like hidden identities.
Yeah.
And I was the assistant on that one too. But that one was still fun, but it was more like, uh, a kind of a cool storyline where it was like everything's twisting and turning, and like I made my character. I'd be like, I know who this girl is because I've seen her photo before. And
Yeah.
so I was just playing with him. I'm like, yeah, I wonder who that could be. Like, oh, she seems cool. Like, just being like, it's your wife. You're gonna marry her anyway, so like, you might as well just go with it. But it's pretty interesting because they can go all over the place. They can be very violent or like obsessive almost with the billionaires, like
Mm.
stalking the person or secretly protecting them, or it could be really funny, like the three billionaire CEOs where they're just all kind of doofuses. And like they have too much money, they don't know what to do with their life, and they're just like, oh, well, here's an airplane, here's a jet. I'm like, yeah,
I do love it when like the gifts go completely mad.
yeah, it's
Like,
it's
here's an
silly.
island.
Yeah,
Here's an entire mall. Here's
that was
everything I've just bought for you.
that was the one. The first stunt coordinating job I did on a vertical. I was in. It's called The Queen Strikes Back. Now it's changed to like the heiress's revenge against her murderer husband or something like that. They changed. I was like, The Queen Strikes Back. It's way better. But in that one, at the end of it, she gives him a limited edition car that was made by a special designer that no one's ever seen, and then she gives him a house that's on top of the highest mountain in the world, and it's like you have to take a helicopter to get to, and blah blah, and it's like the special key to get in there, and they're like, is that the key to the special house that's on top of the mountain? Like no one else can get there, and it's just like, what? Sure, yeah, I want that house that I can only get to with a helicopter. Like that doesn't even seem practical. Like I wouldn't want to live there.
It's that thing, is they have to raise the stakes. So you can't just have like a, I don't know,
Yeah,
like a
next one's gonna
condo
be a space
wherever.
station.
It's like, no, it needs to be this, but this, but this.
Yeah. Next one, I
Um,
swear that like the billionaire's gonna give her like, I bought you a space station. You can take the spaceship up there and like live above the clouds in the world.
yeah, see, now I'm disappointed that no one's delivered that. They're not really trying, are they? Like,
It's
come
gonna
on.
happen. It's gonna happen soon. Trust.
I have to ask you, obviously there is an art to playing the CEO's assistant, because anyone who's watched Vertical with a good CEO's assistant knows that basically the entire story hinges on the assistant who
Yeah.
actually does all the heavy lifting, makes
Yep.
everything happen, finds
Yep.
whoever's been kidnapped, bankrupts companies. When you do it, are you given, sometimes you get iPads, sometimes you get pieces of paper? What were you given
Mhm.
when you played this role? Kind of what's your prop as assistant?
I think every time I've been an assistant, they don't give me anything, which is kind of hard. Like when I do my auditions, I always have like a clipboard or a phone or an iPad or something. It's usually my phone. I'm always like pulling out my phone and being like, okay, I'll call them and like do that. I had an iPad at the very last scene of one of them, and I was like, cool, I get a little thing to play with. But a lot of times it's me like, yes, sir, I'll handle that, or whatever it is. The last one I did, I always change my character's backstory just to make it more interesting for myself, but I don't tell anyone on set. So on one of them, my character's name was Adam, and the lead character's name was Eve. And so I was like, the whole time I was like, we're supposed to be together. It's supposed to be Adam and Eve, not this fool over here. And so like every time I was in a scene with her, it was always like, that was my intention. Like, your father wants you to go home because you need to marry this guy, but this guy isn't for you. It should be me. Like that kind of like longing sort of thing. And then on the last one, it's not out yet, but when you see it, I'm playing the main CEO's assistant, but we are like the way it was written in the script is like they were closer to like best friends almost.
Yeah.
So internally, I was like, oh, I'm his older brother that he doesn't know about. Like my mom remarried his dad, had him, then he's the CEO's son, so he's like the rich kid, and I'm just like his secret older brother. But I've been taking care of him all his life, and so every scene I was treating him like a little brother and like treating him like that. And then when his mom came in, I was like, oh, his mom looks more like me than he looks like her. So I was like, I'm really going with that storyline because like she definitely looks like she could be my mom. Um, and so it's always kind of that sort of play. And then I'll try to like figure out something to do. But yeah, they never give me many props. I'm like, give me a clipboard or give me something so I can like have something to do. Otherwise, I'm just standing there like, sir, let's go. Okay.
Yeah, well, I can see there's a lot of just standing around. Or is it? Have you done any bar rescues? There's always quite a few bar rescues. You have to.
I haven't done any. Have I done any? I don't think as the assistant I've done any. I've been hit a couple times, but usually it's like in all the assistant ones I've done, it's my boss will like step in and save people. I did
Yeah.
one where I tripped the bad guy. That wasn't like scripted. It's just like as he like did the thing and he like ran away, I just put my foot out and so he tripped on it. And then because we worked together a lot, me and the bad guy. And so we kind of like had a playful thing back and forth. And so I was like, I'm just gonna trip you when you walk by me. So then he walked by and he saw me, so he like stumbled and he was like, and he just left. But it's pretty much it. Like I try to get whatever I can as a not background, as an assistant
Yeah.
or like a minor character, but I don't want to go too far. That's like, oh look at me, I'm special.
Yeah.
It's not focused on me; it's on them.
So when you're doing, what would you say is kind of the mix of kind of the acting that you're doing and the stunts, or is it kind of you're doing both in verticals? How does it
In
balance out?
verticals, I did like 4 stunt coordinating jobs, but mainly it's just regular acting. But it's I have a very dramatic acting training background, I guess. Like almost method acting is where I learned a lot of my style. I learned acting for TV and film when I was little.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was very different because acting as a kid, especially back when I was a kid, it was more like be cute and be over the top. And then when I came back as an adult, I was like, oh, it's very, don't be cute, don't be over the top. But yeah, it's mostly that. One of my stunt coordinating jobs, I was cast in the show as a stunt coordinator. Like my character in the vertical was a stunt coordinator because it was a film set.
Yeah.
And then while I was being the stunt coordinator in the vertical, they were like, hey, can you stunt coordinate on the day? And so then I ended up stunt coordinating as a stunt. It was a like meta cerebral
meta
thing I was like, sure, yeah. And then I worked another day on that one. But because I was already like prominent as the stunt coordinator character, they couldn't figure out what to do with me. So they were like, oh, we'll put you over here. And then they're like, but we've already seen your face and your face is distinct, so we know who you are. And then I was like, okay, well, I can just have my back turned. And they're like, no. And then they're like, oh, there's a car hit that's going to come up. Can you go stunt coordinate that? And I was like, sure, just pay me a little more because I'm doing more now.
Oh, that's so interesting that, yeah, almost like once you've got more, then it means that the other background bit doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
So how have you seen sets and things change sort of since you started? What would you say are the changes over the past year?
I think one of the good things is more variety, I guess. On my own, I've seen the same sets used all the time. And then more recently, I've seen them kind of break out to different places, but I still see the same place. Like there's this place called the Pasadena House, where I've shot like 7 different verticals, I think. And then there's this other place that I've been to like 4 times, and another place I've been to at least 3 times. But every once in a while, I'll go to like a new set. The one that I did where I was the assistant, where I felt like the brother. Every set I was on, that one was a new place, and I was like, this is really cool. Like I've never been to this place before, and I'm like, this is cool. I've never been to this place before. So that one worked really, really well. I liked it. I work on a virtual studio, like how they film The Mandalorian, where it's all LED walls.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to get vertical people to rent places like that to do more verticals, because you can have whatever background you want as long as you like pre-plan it.
Yeah.
And you can also leave all the crew stuff there, so you don't have to keep traveling to like different locations.
Wow.
And I'm like, this would be really smart logistically, financially, and visually, because you could have a completely different background. And so I'm hoping more to do that. I saw one vertical did that last week, and I was like, hey, finally, someone's doing it.
That's really cool.
But yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the other things you do? Because that's why I think you're so cool, because you don't just do verticals and acting and stunts. So what else do you do? Can you just explain? Because it's awesome.
I'll talk about the thing I just did. I just got back from Seattle because I was at a gaming convention. And I am... So there's this big video game called Baldur's Gate 3. Came out a couple years ago. But for the last 5.5 years, for every live event they do at a convention or like I went to Belgium with them one time, and I went to London with them once. I'll dress up as their main character and then take photos with fans or like do little skits for them and things like that. And that is really cool. It's basically cosplaying, but I didn't do anything. Like I just showed up and then someone else made the costume, someone else made the makeup, and then I kind of put on the wardrobe. So it's like working on a movie set where it's like, hey guys, tell me what character I'm playing. And that one's really fun because I'm playing a gay, or not a gay, I'm playing a flamboyant vampire elf that's very like froofy. So every time
Yeah.
someone calls, I'm like, hello, darling, how's it going? And just playing around. And
Yeah.
it's really cool, especially when you have fans that really love the character. I can always tell when someone's like really nervous because they'll get close to me and then like you can see their hands just like shaking like crazy or their lips are quivering and I'll just tease them even more. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Just get close to them. That's really fun. And then, like I said, I colored comic books. Did that for a few years. Kind of ended during COVID because the company I was working for like cut back a little bit, and then COVID made them cut back a lot. So it's been a while, but I still do it for fun from time to time. I stream on Twitch, and a lot of times when I stream on Twitch, it's just me coloring comics because I'm like, hey, come join me while I color this, whatever it is, and then listen to music.
That sounds
Yeah.
awesome. So, right,
Yeah.
we'll put the Twitch handle in as well because I
It's
quite
fine.
like Twitch. I'm slowly learning how it works.
Hmm.
So, okay, first of all, I'd vaguely heard of the game. I did tell my youngest
Okay.
teen. She has
Yeah.
heard of the game. She is very impressed. This officially makes you possibly the only person in her eyes of interest that I have talked to. So,
Nice.
thank
Yeah.
you. You've made me slightly cool
Yes.
by association. It's like finally. I kind of wanted to ask you about the crossover because, as we know, verticals are getting a bit more adventurous with
Mhm.
their content. And we all know that kind of obviously gaming, that particularly that kind of fantasy gaming and obviously the fantasy books as well. Do you think we will see more of that coming into verticals, and do you think there's a potential there?
I brought it up to a couple producers, and I think their fear is always, well, I don't know if it's a fear, but their thing is like, how can we make the most money without spending the most money? And so
Okay.
they're like, billionaire CEO, just wear a suit and go to a hotel, and like we can film at a hotel. Whereas like fantasy-ish, they're like, oh, we need costumes, we need a location that looks more fantastical, things
Yeah.
like that. I personally think, well, I don't know, it might just be me, but I get tired when I see the same thing over and over and over and over. So I think they're going to need to venture out to other things, whether it's fantasy, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's even more like almost a sitcom, like family dynamic sort of thing, where it's not quite the vertical billionaire sort of thing, but it's like a normal average family sort of thing, and then just dealing with those things. I think that'd be
Yeah.
cool. Um, and I think some will do it. I have a friend who directed a couple verticals, but her like main thing, I think I told you about her before. Her main thing is like she just wants to recreate fairy tales in modern day and like do fantasy fairy tales like Snow White or Cinderella
Yeah.
or even Asian fairy tales and other countries' fairy tales. But she needs to get approved and she needs a script, and so like that'll be the thing. I'm hopeful, and I think other countries are going to do it more than America will first, which is cool, but also kind of sad because I'm like, we can just go do it, but they're just adverse. But
That's really
yeah,
interesting.
I hope so.
That's really interesting saying. Okay, so that's really useful for people to know. Of like, okay, billionaires work because most people have a suit, and as you said, you can film in a hotel
Right, yeah.
office. So actually, that's like, yeah. Um, so with obviously you were mentioning that studio that you're kind of aware of
Hmm.
like that you could actually change all the backgrounds there, and it
Yep.
saves on other things because you're not logistics and moving things around. Um, I want to ask you about AI as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I asked someone about bringing animation into verticals, and they were like, okay, well, animation costs a lot, so that's not
It
really
does,
an
yeah.
option with the budget. But is AI something that would then possibly make some of these
I
more kind of fantasy stories possible, do you think? Because I presume you see quite a lot coming from with all your knowledge of gaming as well.
Yeah, I see it working, and I see it potentially being used by the studio or by the companies. But I do think AI has enough stigma to it that if it started doing it, people would turn off from the companies that use it. So it's like a double-edged sword, where they could be like, "Oh, we could do all this cool. Here's a dragon. It's an AI dragon," and then people will be like, "That's an AI dragon. I don't want to watch an AI dragon." Or like, "Hey, boycott this app because they're using like all AI like CG stuff instead of paying people to do a CG dragon." And I feel like for verticals, like we've seen the CG wolves in some of the verticals, like they don't have to be great and people still enjoy it. Like it could be an okay dragon, and you can go on. There's like a website called CG Trader, and there's other. I do a lot of 3D animation, not 3D animation, but 3D modeling stuff on my own too. And you can just buy pre-made things for really cheap. Like I could buy a Game of Thrones dragon probably for like $12 off of that website. And then if someone knows how to animate, you could just animate it. And then there's also websites where you can buy pre-made animations that you just drop into a different model and then they'll do it. So theoretically, it'd be really cheap to do it. It may not look the best if they're like rushing these things out in like 3 weeks because they don't have time to like fine tooth it like a movie would do. But I do see them wanting to attempt to do AI. I just don't know if it's going to be smart on their part to do it because it still has so much stigma around it. I have an internal conflict because like I see the potential of AI, but I also, as an artist and an actor and a voice actor and everything else, fight against AI because of how much it's going to like destroy our jobs or steal our stuff. I think there is good ways to use AI. Like you can make your own databases and your own machine learning of AI based on all the stuff that you made yourself. And then you can be like, oh, I don't want to have to do that again. So I'm just going to use the AI to do what I've already done. And that's cool. But when it's the big ones that just steal from everybody, then that's where everyone's like, no, you can't steal from people because you shouldn't steal from people. It's not proper. Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword, I think. Like could get so much stuff out there and kind of neat looking things, but also people aren't going to like it because they're going to be like, oh, what are you doing?
I think people are just going to look more and more for real people to connect with.
Exactly.
Authentic. Yeah. And obviously, and then part of, I know it's outside of verticals, but obviously part of the thing of when they go to that convention is that they can meet you as that character rather than just looking at an AI picture. That's part of the appeal, isn't it? That it's, yeah. Okay. What else do you think or you hope for kind of improvements in verticals? Where would you like to see the industry go?
There's a lot. Like one of my friends posted yesterday a thing where he was like the main bad guy on the last vertical I worked on. And he was saying how he got a message from a producer being like, oh, hey, we want you to be a day player on our job, but we're only going to pay you like $150 for a few days of work. And he's like, sorry, I can't. I'm booking leads and supporting, like major supporting constantly. And this is my rate. And I can't go back because that's like going way back. But the producers a lot of times are just like, well, there'll be somebody else. So we'll just keep paying people these low rates because there's so many people that want work and people will be like, oh, thank you for bringing me on. I mean, I've done that because I've been super broke. So I'm like, please take me. I'll do it for $50. Like, I don't do that anymore, but I've done that in the past, especially back when I worked on.
We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a freelancer, so I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So pay parity, I think would be really nice, which is one of the things the union's really good about. Cause like in the union, basically like if you make a certain amount of money on a job, that's what you get paid from then on. So like if I worked on a TV show and I made whatever, $500 a day, the next TV job I got that was equivalent to that same role, I wouldn't get paid $300. I would have to get paid at least the $500 and then to the next or whatever it is. Like it has to match. And in verticals, it's kind of the Wild West. It's just all over the place. So it's like, oh, I could work this one job playing a major supporting for X amount of dollars. And then I could get the same exact role on a different one and get paid like half the same amount of money because there's no parity across the thing,
Okay.
and that would be really nice, just so like you can have an idea of like, okay, I'm making progress in this way.
Yeah.
Another thing is, even though I've done stunt coordinating, I wish they would be more specific about the stunts, because a lot of times there's not a stunt coordinator on job. Like the time when I had to step in when there was nobody there, and I'm like, you guys didn't do a car hit, you didn't have a stunt coordinator. Like, probably should have thought of that before. Like, I just showed up here and happened to be a stunt coordinator. Um, and so that, and then also verticals are really fast. Like, as we all know, they shoot way too fast, and there's like 12-hour days, 14-hour days. But having a complete like shot list and plan for the shoot would save so much time, because a lot of times I feel like we do extra coverage that we don't need to do, because it's like the framing is this big anyway, so it's not like we're going to get all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
And if you know where you're planning on going with the edit and everything, you can shoot that so much faster, get better things because you can do more takes or whatever,
Mm.
and then not waste as much time just being like, oh, we need it from this angle and this angle and this angle and the wide and the close up, and like doing the same thing 20 times is sometimes it's like, we could have moved on because you're only going to use one of those shots.
Yeah.
You don't need like 30 of them. It's the same with like action directing. A lot of times it's like, if you see a bad action movie, they'll have like all the cuts where it's like every punch is like pop, 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 pop. And then the good ones is like you see a full action scene because they had it planned and they knew exactly what they wanted to shoot. And the other one's like, oh, we're going to get it from every angle, and then we'll figure it out when we edit it to like, this will be action.
That is a
So,
good tip to look out for. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, First of all, I want to ask you some wider questions to end with, but just
Okay.
to go back, personal favorite projects then. So of what you've got out already, if you were like, go watch one vertical I'm in, which one would you recommend to people?
Mm. The ones that are out, my favorite, I've never seen it because I can't find it anywhere and I don't know what app it's on. It's called Birth of the Black Lotus. That was the first like major role I had. I was on it for, I was only getting paid as a day player, but I was on for 6 out of 7 days. So I was like, that's not a day player because I was in every day except for one.
Yeah.
But that one, I was also an assistant. And it was the first one I worked on where the girl at the end of it took her own agency. Like, she was the hero. And then at the end, all the guys that,
Jean something?
yeah, Jean.
I've seen that.
Okay.
You will find and link it because I've watched it. So it clearly is on an app and we will link
Nice.
it below.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yes. As you said, it's an early one where the girl, I don't think she actually ends up with any of the guys. It's just like, I've got
I don't want to spoil it, but at the end, they basically, the thing I read, because I read the whole script, like even some of the actors that were more major than me didn't read it, but I was like, I like to know everything that's in the script when I'm reading it or when I'm doing it. So I read the whole script, and at the end, she basically just, they're there with their wedding rings and she just turns around and walks away. She just goes off on her own. At least that's how it was in the script. I don't know how they filmed it, but because I wasn't there for that one day. But that one was really cool. We got to do a lot of different things with that one. That was the one where I tripped the guy too. So it was fun. And then the last one I did, which isn't out yet, and I'm not sure what the name of that one was because I forget already. It's probably Faded Lover or something like that. Oh yeah, Faded Love was the name. That one was really fun because I got to play a lot as a supporting. It wasn't just like kind of stiff, like, so, walk in, yes sir, okay, bye. And so that one was really cool. And then Showtime Ladies was cool. That was the one where I was a stunt coordinator as a stunt coordinator as a stunt coordinator. With Ashley. That was cool from what I saw on set, but I haven't watched that one yet either, so I don't know. And then Ashley loves every single thing she does. Like, she just loves playing, and that was why she was one of the best people in her class, because she's just fearless and just goes for everything. So when we were on that set, she was like, I love this one so much. I get to be two crazy different people, and like, and then Nick is insane. So that one was cool. Just her infectiousness got me really excited about that one, even though I haven't seen it. And then what was it? I have one more that was really fun. Oh, this one is stupid. Married in a Blaze with Jennings Bauer.
Yeah.
I showed up on the last day as a stripper, so that one was fun.
Excellent.
That was just random. I got a call like the day before, I think, and the director was like, "Hey, we need a firefighter stripper. Can you come?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I showed up, and then Jennings was there, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up? I have to strip next to you? That sucks." Like,
Yeah, that's a little bit like.
yeah, I was like, "Jennings, this isn't fair."
Um, right. Thank you so much. So now I just want to ask you, as someone who like watches and enjoys TV movie shows, um, and probably going slightly back to the stunts, what shows, films do you really rate? Should people go and watch, particularly if they've got good stunts in or good action scenes?
For good stunts specifically, I would say Warrior, which is a show produced by Bruce Lee's daughter, based on Bruce Lee's writing that takes place in like the 1880s San Francisco. So it's like the triads and Chinese mafia versus the Irish people versus the Americans that were like really racist back then. But there's a lot of great fight scenes in that show. And the show just itself is amazingly well written. And it's got this really cool thing where all the characters that are Chinese speak Chinese, but when they're talking to each other, they speak English. And then the camera will do this cool thing where it like swoops around them. And as it swoops around them, they'll start speaking in Cantonese when they're talking to like white people.
Oh,
So
that's so clever.
it's a really cool thing. Like you notice it in the first episode, like he's talking to some guy and then he's just speaking, I think he's speaking Cantonese, and then it like swoops around and he like sees another Chinese guy and then he just starts speaking English to him. And so like you think at first like, oh, he's faking that he can't speak English and they all speak, but then you realize like, oh, it's a technique. So like we hear them and then we hear what the white people hear because they just speak with like either broken English or
Yeah.
Cantonese. It's a really cool show.
That's
I recommend it to
very
everybody.
clever. Yeah.
And then another one that's really good with action, Shogun was really good. That was on FX Hulu.
Mhm.
There's what was I watching recently? Chief of War is probably really good. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's really good. I want to see that.
Excellent. I just want to say thank you so much. Now, everyone should go and follow Justin, or Justice as you'll find him on Instagram, because he really is one of the best people on there. And he's always been so kind and supportive, and we've chatted for a long time. And I just can't thank you enough for making the time to come and talk to me for an hour on whatever night it is, Thursday in September. So just you're an absolute superstar, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I got to like actually speak to you in person or digitally in person.
Doesn't really. Oh, thank you. Right, I'll press stop, and then we just have to let it upload.